Welcome to the Roadmap, Benzinga's NFT show. We've got a great show for you today. We welcome back to the program the one and only Solana legend. We're going to be talking about upcoming Solana mints and all things SOL today. We'll also get into news and headlines at the end of the show. It's going to be a great one, so stay tuned. This is the Roadmap. Benzinga's NFT show. We've got I'm muted. Let's try that again, everyone. Welcome to the Roadmap, Benzinga's NFT show. We've got a great one for you. As I said, the one and only Solana legend joining us, and you don't want to miss out. Stay tuned. I believe we may even have some whitelist giveaways coming up on today's episode. I want to give a shout out to today's show sponsor, the one and only FTX, which is one of the largest cryptocurrency exchanges in the world in terms of trading volumes and daily users. The FTX app is used by over 6 million people to buy crypto and NFTs. No transaction or withdrawal fees. You can use your phone or your computer. And the FTX NFT trading platform offers both Ethereum and Solana blockchain NFTs with no gas fees. You can find out more and download that FTX app by using the link in the description below and also pinned to the chat if you are watching us live. Big shout out to all our live viewers right now on YouTube, and also a shout out to everyone listening in on the podcast and watching this on replay. Let me go ahead and bring on my co-host, Benzinga's own Brian Moir. Brian, what's going on, buddy?
Hola. Doing good. I'm trying to get my camera to quit fidgeting around, but besides
maybe
that,
it's just you
good.
Fidgeting around, and it's
yeah,
not the camera.
That's true too. Both.
we'll blame it on that. So,
right,
Brian, we've got an exciting show today. I'm so happy to welcome back to the stream today the one and only Solana legend. We had him on a couple weeks ago, and I mean, Brian, this was one of our most watched episodes. We also re-aired it again because it was so good, and that re-aired episode even got more views than some of our normal episodes. So with that being said, I think people really like Legend, and they also really want to hear more about Solana NFTs, which is why I'm so excited about today's episode. What about you, Brian?
Oh yeah, I'm pumped for it. I'm getting more and more not just bullish but excited about Solana. Yeah. We talked about it yesterday, and even yesterday during the show, I bought a .sol domain. So I'm all about it. I'm talked about it before this one even started. I want to be a piece of this pie, get part of this apple, you know. Excited.
Definitely. All right. Well, I want to shout out. I just dropped in the chat, say hi to everyone. If you are watching us live, say hi back. Let us know that you're here. You're ready to watch this interview. I also want to shout out the fact that Solana Legend just hit 90,000 followers on Twitter. If you do not follow Solana Legend yet, I'm going to go ahead and drop that in the chat to make sure to check him out. And without further ado, I think it's time to bring on Legend. So welcome back to the Roadmap, Solana Legend. How are you doing today?
Doing great, guys. Thanks so much for having me back, and really excited to be on the show. We're back like we never left.
That's right. That's right. Just like last time, Legend, I do have to say that, we may have some viewers tuning in today that maybe didn't catch that first interview with you. And I would, of course, encourage them to go back and watch that after today's episode. But just in case anyone didn't catch that last interview, Legend, can you just give us a brief overview, history in the NFT space for yourself?
Yeah, definitely. So my NFT story started, just recently, I'd say, in terms of actually like buying and selling NFTs. But I've always been interested in crypto. I have been following Bitcoin since 2015, mostly on the sidelines because I was broke. But when I was in high school, I had a Bitcoin. Right, that happens to the best of us, right? It's like
tell you what,
you want to participate, but you got no money. It's like, damn.
you have that on them big
perfect for that.
jobs.
But yeah, we like in high school, me and my buddies bought a Bitcoin miner. We plugged it into the school's plug, so we used their electricity for free, and started mining Bitcoin. It was an ant miner, and we were selling it as we went. So we played ourselves in the most epic way possible there. But yeah, skip forward a few years, I got into Ethereum. I was really fascinated by the kind of smart contract, kind of fully programmable, Turing complete code that you could write on it. And that for me was like a quantum leap in terms of like, okay, this isn't just a network that can validate transactions. This is something you can build on. You can have decentralized apps on top of this layer, and it can increase the value of the network massively. So skip forward a bit further. I was a big holder of SOL. I bought in around $20. My buddy from college put me on. He works for a VC that was a seed investor in Solana at 4 cents a coin. So pretty good cost basis there. But basically started holding a bunch of SOL. All my savings were in it. I was basically all in on the network. But then I discovered Solana NFTs, and that was like, man, down the rabbit hole. Alice in Wonderland, took the red pill, the whole 9 yards. Put my life savings into SOL NFTs, starting with SMBs, which was my first ever NFT. Minted about 20 of those. Bought another 10 on secondary. Still have all 30 of them. Went down the line, minted a ton of blue chips, and just started tweeting, right? So the day of the mint, August 3rd, I, minted a bunch of SMBs, made a Twitter that same afternoon, and then, just started tweeting takes on Solana. Like, I'm known for like, obviously like giga bullish tweets on Solana, like why I think it's underrated, trying to kind of show people the way, be a good evangelist in that sense. But, just NFT ecosystem updates and news more broadly. And I've just hit 90,000 followers, and I was featured in the New York Times this morning. So
congrats on both. Damn.
Yeah, I did see the New York Times piece, and that was kind of cool because I believe it talked about anonymous people in the NFT space, which is always a fun debate that we see from time to time.
Uh-oh.
We're
good.
Here on the roadmap. So connection issues. I lost my internet last night and it was working fine all day today. And then once you know it, we start the show up and now it's going to lag. So apologies out there to anyone that's seeing that. Legend, thanks so much for
90K followers and a time drop. It's even the internet's can't even believe it.
That's right. And Legend, thanks so much for sharing that overview. We also talked to you last time you were on about your joining the FTX team. So while you're on here, of course, FTX sponsoring today's episode and this show. Talk to us a little bit about what FTX is doing in the NFT space and what's new since we last had you on.
Yeah, definitely. So FTX is, very looking at NFTs very closely is the short answer. I think at the very minimum, NFTs, when the dust settles on this technology and this movement, it will be kind of heralded as one of the biggest tools for mass crypto adoption and user onboarding, right? So, I think just on that alone, NFTs are very worthwhile, I think, to be looking at. But FTX has a full-fledged NFT marketplace on their platform on FTX US for any user to use. So even if you're not living in the US, you can create an FTX US account. There's no restrictions there. You can, onboard some fiat, via the exchange and trade NFTs right there seamlessly. So one of the coolest features we have about trading, NFTs off chain is the fact that there's no gas on transactions, right? So for, the people who have CryptoPunks and Bored Apes and Azukis and all these crazy collections, they can definitely, afford $100 of gas. It's just a rounding error for them. But for the new users, that's a bit more of an issue. So really cool to see, the gas-free transactions are a big selling point, and also just the selection we have we're doing major drops with mainstream brands and artists. We just did a giant Coachella drop a few weeks ago or about a month ago, which was a huge success. We auctioned some Infinity keys, which did, millions in volumes, that are lifetime passes to the festival. Prior to that, we did, a Steph Curry drop, which was huge in terms of activating like literally hundreds of thousands of his fans. So, I guess really FTX is kind of at the crossroads between the crypto native community, which loves these PFP generative collections and other, generative collections, but also kind of the traditional, more non-crypto native crowd that maybe is more used to using like a debit card or a credit card or onboarding fiat via bank transfer or ACH, as opposed to like using a non-custodial wallet and a seed phrase and operating, 24/7 on chain. So that's kind of where we sit today.
Awesome. Well, Legend, on yesterday's show, I believe it was yesterday, man, this week already flying by, Brian and I talked about the news that Shaquille O'Neal, who, we talked about before, he bought some creatures. He minted his own project on the Ethereum blockchain. He's been very loyal to, ETH NFTs. And now all of a sudden we see him switch over. He now has a Shaq.Sol as his name, which I know Brian's going to get into those domains here in a minute. But tell me your thoughts on, a big name like Shaquille O'Neal, publicly showing support for Solana NFTs. Does that help the space? And do you think it's going to bring, maybe new people over to the Sol side here?
I think definitely. I think we're at a point in the cycle and in the story of NFTs where any attention is good attention, right? When you look at how few people there are that are actually like interacting with NFTs on a daily basis, I believe it's around 1 million globally for ETH plus Sol. So it's not a drop in the bucket, it's a drop in the ocean. And I think someone with just a mega fan following like Shaq is a huge lift for the network and just in general. Like, people have kind of criticized some celebrities that aren't like Shaq, that kind of maybe post up, do a one-off collections, take a bunch of liquidity and then peace out. But honestly, in the case of Shaq, he's just going into it, wading into it slowly. He picked up a Jungle Cats. It was his first NFT. Picking up the domain name as well as an awesome little gesture, and very excited obviously to just see how this plays out, and if he ends up dropping or doing any other kind of collab with the network.
Awesome. So like you said, Shaq, he's a big name. He's got a big following. We talk all the time about, celebrities and big investors getting into the NFT space. Brian and I are very familiar with some of the bigger names, in Ethereum. And of course, Solana, we don't know as well, which is part of the reason why we love having you on the show. We consider you an expert when it comes to Solana NFTs. So, Legend, are there other big athletes and celebrities that, are on the Solana side and maybe behind the scenes, that you can't share with us? Are there other, big names that are going to happen soon that we'll hear about?
Yeah, definitely. I think Michael Jordan dropping on Solana is one of the biggest names. I mean, Jordan brand is, for everyone that follows it, I mean, one of the largest, not only athletic brands, but lifestyle, just culture, right, in general. It's huge to see that. There's definitely a ton of other athletes and famous people. I mean, I think a lot of them honestly have been coming from Ethereum as well. So people like Steve Aoki, Diplo, even Gary Vee, looking at certain projects, different artists like I'll call him F Render because I want to keep
yeah.
We try to keep it kind of PG.
Yeah, we just call him Render.
But we just call him Render. Just
okay, got it. So so F Render. I'll let people fill in the blanks. Other people, like big collectives and collectors like Cosimo de Medici and others have definitely aped in. We've got Art Block and CryptoPunk OGs like Von Mises and other Bored Ape honoraries like Evan Tan. like just tons of people who are in the know of NFTs and have been, looking at NFTs for a number of years now, extremely successful collectors with X copies and, Fidenzas and whatever you want. So just to get the nod from people like that and people coming from the outside is huge. But I think the crypto natives coming in can be a big leading indicator of what's about to happen.
Agreed.
Awesome. Brian, over to you to talk about that .sol news that we got from Shaq and maybe how you are getting involved here.
Yeah. 1 second. Whenever I tried to open up my Google Doc, it crashed the whole thing, so I had to close it out. So hold on 1 second. I'm sorry.
You're all good. Yeah. So Shaq, his profile picture name was Shaq.eth for a long time. Now it's Shaq.sol. So Legend, talk to us a little bit about these .sol domain names. What are they all about?
Yeah, so definitely it's a thing called Bonfida naming service. It's kind of like the Solana equivalent of ENS domains, so Ethereum naming service. And it's just a really fun way and cool way to, first of all, speculate on these, domains. Like I know tons of people that are like neck deep into like the world of like, yo, I just sniped, Coca-Cola.sol or whatever, like some like random thing. But
Yeah.
there's obviously like huge upside, just like the .com boom, right? People were just gambling of like, I own kickboxing.com. I'm going to be a gazillionaire one day. And then like it never materializes. But, I think it's a cool, fun thing to like at the most basic level to own different domains that are native to the chain where you can flex, you can rep your username, you can rep your Web3 kind of identity in a whole different way. And it acts as your wallet address as well, right? So it's a simple and elegant way. Instead of sending like a giant, like, basically string of alphanumeric characters, you're able to just send like an elegant thing where you say like legend.sol. Unfortunately, I don't own those ones. They were all sniped by people that want to like make a 200x on the whatever they paid for it. So I don't know. I'm honestly just rocking without it right now, but I also have had some guy offer me Solana legend.eth. So I was like, wow, okay, that's controversial, but thanks for the offer.
A little spicy there. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, but I don't know what happened in Google Docs. It had me logged into my personal account and automatically just crashed whenever I tried to open it. So anyway, I personally bought a .sol yesterday, and it was super easy. It compared to buying a .eth domain on ENS. It was pretty straightforward. I mean, it was a little bit more complicated because I had to set up the Phantom wallet, and then I had to use FIDA to buy it, and it wouldn't let me use my SOL. So I had to go to like Radeon. Radeon, I think, is a swap that you use on Solana, and I had to buy some wrap Solana. So there's a few steps, but in all, instead of like maybe on Ethereum, it costing me probably around anywhere from $60 to $120 with every step I had to take, I think it cost 45 cents in all. So I'm a lot more bullish on Solana being quick and easy and not huge gas prices. We'll see if Solana ever gets to like, $2,500 for one SOL, but right now it's pretty simple and straightforward, and it was super quick. So I really liked it. A lot easier of an experience than doing a .eth domain, just because I didn't spend nearly as much money. What do you think about that? Do you think that's going to bring a lot more people to doing this? Not necessarily just for .sol domains, but Solana in general?
Yeah, I think definitely it's an area where people will continue to bet and they'll continue to use it, right? I mean, like it's just natural. Like if you're long on Solana, if you think this is a blockchain and an L1 that can do it all on the first shard, and it, a lot of these kind of predictions end up becoming true, then any exposure is good exposure, right? Holding the coin, holding blue chip NFTs is a good idea. Not investment advice, obviously, but these domains as well could be very valuable down the road. Like when ENS first came out, I'm sure they were trading for very, modest values. And then look at the airdrop that went out, right? It was like thousands of dollars per.
Oh yeah.
Domain. So like people that, exactly. So people that own like, 100 domains were we're having a party. So, but yeah, to your point,
yeah, just 4 domains. I was happy with that.
Exactly. So I mean, honestly, the real move is just like a little bit of everything, in my opinion. Like, scoop a domain for your handle. Just rep it. Go into NFTs kind of slowly, and don't just like ape into the first project you see on Twitter that gets like tweeted by an influencer. And ultimately, like, your point was great. I mean, around like the startup costs are so low on Sol. Like, you can genuinely download a Phantom wallet or make an FTX US account, transfer $100 into it, and you're ready to go. That's enough gas for, basically the rest of your life. And it's crazy. Like, that level of startup costs has allowed, DeFi to be very profitable. Like, you can unstake, you can move NFTs around, you can do all kinds of transactions, which are incurring like a, $20 to $80 cost on Ethereum. And you don't even have to think about it twice on Sol, which I think for newcomers is pretty powerful. And it's something that will cause Sol to continue to capture, a large portion of new users.
Yeah, no, agreed. And I did forget to mention that I bought Sol on FTX US, and it was super easy. It actually integrates right with Phantom Wallet super quickly. I mean, they are a sponsor, but I do want to say how quick and easy that was to do that, and it was super painless. The only thing that was kind of annoying was actually using the Sol domain name service, not buying Solana or not using either of those functions as a whole. That being said, Solana kind of gets a little bit of hate compared to Ethereum. And a couple months ago, when I was doing Moon or Bust, we had Brandon, one of the CEOs of Phantom Wallet, on, and he talked about whenever it was the day after Solana actually went down. And the blockchain was down. There was a lot of problems because they were trying to do a new fork. And so that kind of brings a little bit of not shade, but a little negativity towards Solana. This was a couple months ago, and now they've rectified it. But it kind of makes it to where it brings up the idea that Solana is not necessarily fully decentralized. It is somewhat a little bit centralized, and the more nodes that we have, or the more it's going to become even more decentralized. But what do you think about that aspect of Solana versus Ethereum? And I know we talked about Binance Smart Chain, which they kind of have that same deal, but I don't think they're on the same page whatsoever. I think Solana is much better. But what do you think about that whole aspect of the difference between the two chains?
Yeah, definitely. So it's a really good question. I mean, it all depends on what you want to solve for, right? So like, for the average user, I'd argue that, decentralization is something philosophically that if they're, a crypto aficionado and they're like into this, and they're into the weeds of Web3 culture and everything else, that's maybe top of mind for them. But for most people, centralization is all they know, right? They go to a store, they pull out their Visa or MasterCard, they scan the chip. That probably, all those cards probably go to the same server. It's probably like a centralized third-party transaction company that handles all the transaction flow for all these card companies, right? So, it doesn't get more centralized in the US dollar. So, like, it's all about like what people are wanting to solve for. And I think for a lot of people, decentralization is not kind of as high on the totem pole as people think it is. Like, there's a lot of advantages to some degree of centralization. I mean, at the most basic level, even in an institution, right? Like, look at the most successful NFT projects like Bored Apes. Yuga Labs is pretty centralized, right? Like, they're definitely very close to their community, and they run it that way. But ultimately, it's two guys that created the project, and they have the final word on the equity of the brand and everything else. So I think without some degree of centralization, it becomes kind of an area where people are kind of deciding what they should have for dinner tomorrow night, and it's getting voted on in the DAO, and like, it's just too much, right? So I think ultimately it's all about trade-offs. Like, if you want to go for centralization, you have options like Bitcoin, you have options like Ethereum. They definitely get the job done. But if you're perhaps a little bit less concerned about centralization or decentralization, Solana is getting there. I would say definitely you got to give it time, because we just passed 1,500 validators, and it is becoming a lot more decentralized over time. I want to kind of see like what the Nakamoto coefficient was on Ethereum like in 2017. But these networks take time to get decentralized, right?
Yeah.
Especially for Solana, which scales with hardware. So people need to start building those nodes and those validators and kind of help the network that way. It's going to take some time, and there's a road to get there, but pretty confident with like the current product market fit for SOL, and hearing all the new people come into the space, and especially the developers building on it. If you follow the builders, that's perhaps the most important leading indicator of all. So yeah, that's kind of my take on it.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't realize that a little bit of centralization is actually a pretty good thing, and you've already pretty much hit on it. But you don't really want there's a pyramid, and you can either have it fast, cheap, or decentralized. And having all three, it's not possible, because you can't really have it to be able to be autonomously vote and decide something, but also it be fast, but also it be cheap. So you have to kind of give and take on what you want. And the successful blockchains and successful projects that create their own chains, what they'll do is they'll try to find the best aspects of each area that they can, and prioritize and improve each one of those. But you can't have it all, because there's no such thing as the perfect anything. In theory, a utopia is what everyone wants something to be in a community to be, but it's not possible. So I think Solana is kind of going there and getting to that point, and they will eventually, it will become this great utopia as soon as not as soon, but as it goes on and gets more decentralized, but also gets more faster, and everything that you pretty much just said. So I just wanted to see what your views on it, and I agree 100% on everything you just said.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
The other thing is just like kind of like, if you want to solve for centralized or decentralization, I think Bitcoin is a clear winner, right? So it's like, from a new network's perspective, if you're looking at kind of like how you position it, I think Solana Labs has been very smart in kind of moving towards this kind of, hey, we're actually like a high throughput, minimal fees network, where you can run an order book, you can do transactions for a fraction of a penny, you can do DeFi, and if you have $1 in profits or interest that you've earned, you can cash that out without even thinking about it twice. I heard the other day that there's arbitrage bots that are running on Solana, and they're loading them with like $2, and they're just running, and they can make arb trades that are profitable at like the 20-cent level, which is insane, right? Because if you think about the break even for something like that on Ethereum, you'd have to be making probably thousands of dollars in each trade for it to even make sense.
Mhm. So another thing that I know you do a lot of is Twitter Spaces, and we do as well at Benzinga, in different aspects, not just the roadmap or NFTs, but crypto and everything in general. How important do you think Twitter Spaces are for the NFT community as a whole?
Man, that's a great question, and honestly, I can't recommend it enough. Like, if you want to capture and retain an audience on Twitter, Twitter Spaces is literally you should be your go-to. Like, it's a number one way to like get your foot in the door in terms of like building a community organically. It's all about like just hopping on spaces. They don't even have to be your own. You can go on other people's spaces, and without just shilling your project, ruthlessly, which I don't you to anyone. You can add to a conversation. People can hear there's a real person behind the PFP. They can meet the founder indirectly, like via that Twitter Spaces. They can ask some questions, interact with them, like try to understand their motivations and their objectives. And that's just kind of a basic fundamental level of human connection, right? And something that there's no replacement for. And I think the people that are able to just run the Twitter Spaces successfully, like Shiny on ETH, a bunch of others on Solana, like myself, Ice Knife, have been kind of trying to put them out there as well. It's something that's incredibly powerful, and I recommend to everyone.
Mm.
Yeah, definitely. I know Twitter Spaces is an area that we're focused on for growth, along with, doing the YouTube show. We love doing video. We love doing podcasts with audio. But I mean, Twitter Spaces, it's so cool how people can hop in, hop out. You can bring guests up. You can bring, users up to ask questions. It's just so user friendly and a great community effort. So we definitely, love it here. Legend, not a fun topic to talk about by any means. Brian and I shared a little bit yesterday on the conflict happening right now in Ukraine due to the invasion by Russia. And with the bad, we've also gotten some positive and some good, and that is the fact that cryptocurrency and NFT communities have kind of rallied support for Ukraine. So I know that we had, a launch of some ETH projects called Relief that came out a couple days ago. But I also saw that Solana, there's some in that community doing, support for Ukraine. So can you talk a little bit about what you've witnessed, what you know in terms of, FTX, the crypto community, the NFT community supporting Ukraine during this horrific time?
Yeah, definitely. So, obviously, I'm not like super qualified to talk on like the details of anything that's happening like in the real world. I've never been involved in a situation like that, and it's really unfortunate to see. So I'll just kind of preface it by saying that. But, I think on Solana, people have been very, very good about getting mobilized quickly. Solana Labs themselves put out a address, ukraine.sol, which is routing funds donated straight to, I believe there's an executive of a tech company who is acting as kind of tech intermediary for the Ukrainian government. So they're helping them raise funds and organize them and cash them out ultimately. But, others like FTX US President Brett Harrison added the functionality for, .sol domains and everything. So anybody on FTX can donate. SBF, Sam Bankman-Fried, FTX founder himself, donated $25 to every Ukrainian user on the platform. So I think it just kind of opens a conversation around, what is the role of crypto and NFTs in charitable giving and these kind of events. I mean, I think NFTs as a means of crowdfunding and raising funds in general is extremely underrated. It's almost like an early stage investment into these projects that we're making. Not financial advice, obviously, but I think just more generally, crypto is has always been touted as this thing where you can, own and you can have, custody of your own finances without depending on any foreign government or any, financial actor in the system. And that's always been touted as kind of something that crypto is able to do. But I think we're seeing it real time. We're seeing it unfold before our eyes right now in terms of like, if you look at the flows of, ruble, like the Russian ruble into BTC, the volumes are up massively, right? So what does that mean? I mean, for the people listening, that means people in Russia have seen the value and the purchasing power of their currency collapse, and they're going ahead and they're changing rubles into BTC because they have more faith in Bitcoin as a store of value for their wealth than their own currency, right? So that's probably nothing, right? I mean, that's pretty telling, and that's a trend that I think is only set to continue. I mean, to the extent that fiat currencies are debased and people debank themselves because of sanctions or conflict or crisis, crypto is something that people can always turn to, and they can own their finances and in their pocket, right? Which is pretty powerful. They can travel anywhere in the world. They don't have to have physical cash on them or, God forbid, gold coins or gold bars like people used to do in the olden days. Like, it's none of that. You can literally have this, on your phone, which I think is incredibly powerful. And over time, the adoption of this is going to be massive.
Yeah, definitely. And, again, not a fun topic to talk about the war by any means, but again, it's nice to see the positivity from, these communities of crypto and NFTs. And then also, as you said, the realization by, these residents that, Bitcoin can be a store of value. And, that's as a crypto, or as a country's currency is collapsing. So, a great topic, and we could probably go on and on about that forever, but we'll try to leave it at that for today. Legend, last time we had you on, one of the projects that the chat, mentioned several times, and you mentioned as one of your, 5 Solana projects to watch was Photo Finish, which is a horse racing game. Can you share a little bit? I know they had an update. They started breeding. Share a little bit on, what's going on in the world of Photo Finish now since we last talked.
Yeah,
I'm
definitely.
interested in this one.
It's super cool. I mean, it's a game that I've been following since mint. I minted one of the initial collections. So the way it works is basically, just at a high level, it's kind of like the Z run of Solana. So people that are familiar with Z run, it's a Polygon, which is an ETH L2 chain, and it's a horse racing simulator, right? So what does that mean? That means literally you own these virtual horses, digital horses, and you race them against other people, right? So run around an oval shaped track, literally just, race other people, compete in jurisdictions where it's legal. There's gambling, there's wagers on those races. And the places where there's not, obviously there isn't. But basically, very cool thing. But Photo Finish takes that to the next level, right? And more than just being a horse racing game, it's a whole like blown horse racing simulator. So that means they incorporate things like breeding, renting, even if you have like a good racehorse, like a stud, you can rent that out to other people and gain revenue that way in terms of like, fees for like breeding with a good racehorse. So it goes crazy. And the way the collection started was with 2 kind of initial collections, which are stylish studs and fine fillies. So those were minted and airdropped out. And basically, if you own a fine filly, it can breed once. So you breed a fine filly with a stylish stud, and that will produce a Gen 0 racehorse. And that's what just started, is that breeding process. And people are going crazy, like trying to find the best match for their fine filly or their stylish stud. And they're really trying to like optimize the Gen 0 generation, because that's the start of the bloodline. And all subsequent, generations will come from the Gen 0. In other words, the Gen 0s will breed with other Gen 0s to produce Gen 1 and so on and so forth. So I think it's really cool, like just the concept, the fact that the team is stacked. I mean, they were the guys behind, Madden at EA Sports. Like they've got all the right experience to literally like do this. They're not like one of these teams that promises a game and like has never even built a web game before. These guys have built an app with like 15 million downloads. They've licensed their simulator to like major news outlets for the coverage of the Kentucky Derby. Like they're not playing games. And for me, that's huge. And it's something I'm looking to do. I have like 70 studs. I have about 35 fillies, and I'm trying to still develop my optimal like breeding strategy. I've got like a spreadsheet. I'm getting super nerdy with it, but I think there's a big prize to be had. Like if you look at Zed Run,
Yeah.
I mean, I know guys that were literally like playing this for a living, right? They were at home, like they got their stable, they've got like their whole like thing, they're competing, and they're doing play to earn in the most real sense.
Yep. Love it. Yeah, I'm still exploring the world of Photo Finish and looking to set up my stable, and I know Brian is too. So we definitely we're excited about that update. Brian, I'll turn it back over to you here.
Yeah. So one thing that we've kind of mentioned about last time we were on, I believe, is the Super Bowl commercials. Just kind of wanted to see what your take on maybe the lack thereof, or maybe the number of, how many of them there were. I kind of forgot the word I was trying to use there, but like we saw eToro, one of their commercials, have a Bored Ape in one of in the face. I've kind of lost what I was trying to say. We saw one of the Bored Apes in one of the commercials. It was like a hidden little gem. What do you think of all the crypto commercials that we saw during the Super Bowl? I'm sorry, I kind of lost that question.
No, you're all good. I mean, honestly, it's indicative of just like crypto going mainstream, right? And for me, it's like incredibly exciting because like when you look at the origins of this industry and this space, it's like started out so small. Like think of like early BTC days, right? It was like, the entire world calling it a scam. Everyone who didn't call it a scam thought it was just way too volatile for any kind of investor. People were trading Bitcoin peer to peer. There was exchange hacks of like Mount Gox getting wiped out, like all these
Yeah.
different like crazy like just forks in the road and just crazy stuff that we've seen. And same with Ethereum, right? I mean, the Ethereum DAO fork, like to ETC, like ETCG, like Ethereum Classic, like all these crazy like movements about, and ultimately like we've landed on a situation where crypto is really hitting the mainstream, and like I think it speaks to like the work of all the people that have been working tirelessly on this, like FTX, like just pushing the regulatory like ball along all the time, like spending tons and tons of their own money to like just break a path and beat a path for the whole industry. And then just like the innovation and like entrepreneurs in general, like people from Web 2, seeing this sign of the times and just saying, look, Web 2 is, in decline, and Web 3 is the new movement. So I think it starts with a lot of talent and a lot of smart builders that are, building on blockchain and on Solana. That's people like Justin Khan, the founder of Twitch. That's people like the co-founder of Reddit, or founder of Reddit, rather, Alexis Ohanian, and like just really smart people, huge VCs that are super respected in Silicon Valley and just globally. And when you see people like that building on Solana, building on other chains, and kind of them raising massive funds and sinking all the money into the blockchain, that's when you start to think like, man, is there something like that I've missed
here?
Yeah, there must be something here, right? Because these are the most sophisticated and qualified investors in the world, and some of the best builders, and they're choosing to spend all their time and resources on it. So I think it's just just the beginning. I don't want to be like too overly bullish, but like I really do believe that 2022 will be crypto's breakout year, like officially. 2021 for people that have been kind of like pretty dialed in, pretty plugged in. 2021 was already massive, like especially for Solana. This summer changed my life. But for people that are maybe a little bit less early adopters, I think crypto bursts on the scene in the most epic way possible. And it's in part catalyzed by real world events, right? Like high inflation in the United States, like just the whole backdrop and the whole macroeconomic picture is like the perfect storm for crypto mass adoption. And I think that's what we're going to see.
Yeah. Oh, I 100% agree. And I want to add that I don't think that anyone is too late yet. I think that, I mean, we've all seen these people that have been talking about it. And, I don't know anyone personally, like who I've hung out with my whole entire life that's become a millionaire from it or a billionaire or anything like that. But I do know people I've talked to online and seen how it's changed people's lives. I don't think that it's too early for certain things or certain projects to change people's lives in the future. Like Solana, I'm very, very bullish on, because I think it's going to be the next Ethereum. I think there's a lot more room for things to grow. And I think like what you just said, how Solana is kind of the next movement in a way, and I think that we're going to see a lot more headway and a lot more huge investors come into different projects like Solana and like Avalanche and things like that. So I'm very, very excited about it personally. I think Chris, did you want to
one more question? It looks like
okay,
before we get to that.
Yeah, so do you want to talk to us about any upcoming projects you have going on? Sorry.
Yeah, definitely. So I guess one that I'm pretty excited about that hasn't launched yet is well, I mean, first of all, let me take a step back. One that needs to be shouted out definitely is Soul Gods. I mean, that's my PFP right now. Yeah. I'm repping them very hard. I full disclosure, I own a lot of them, but I do believe like Soul Gods is like for the new entrant into the Solana NFT space who wants a PFP, a fine art PFP, has like basically a super strong community, great art, like metaverse integrations on the way, like everything about it is just like strong, and they're advancing on all fronts. Like they've got, just literally they're going like after Web3 from every single angle. Like they're going all of them in parallel. So these guys, like I met the team in Miami. That's when I didn't own any, and I met the team at Art Basel in Miami, and I was like, man, these guys are like so all in, and like their description, right? A brand born in blockchain. And what made me so bullish about these guys is that like their floor went down to like 0.4, which for a lot of projects and a lot of founders, that's like a death blow. Like they pretty much just give up and say, guys, we weren't lucky, it didn't work out. But these guys went down to 0.4 SOL and they started working even harder, and they've gone up to as high as 8 or 9 in the last few days. So it's like a comeback story that's insane. The team is all in. They're from the UK. Like the community is nuts. And like I think for like entry level NFTs that are, you know, less than $1,000 right now, 8.6 SOL on the floor. Like Soul Gods is honestly my number one pick. Like I would recommend it. But yeah, aside from that, there's another project that's coming up called Meta Hunters. And someone just put me on this the other day. My friend Soft Money, he wrote a thread about it, but it was crazy. Like this concept, I think is gonna be nuts. And basically, what happens when you have a meta hunter, apparently, is that you do like a death match of one NFT versus another. So like, imagine we both had Soul Gods. We can actually like bet them, and it's a coin flip, and like whoever wins keeps both NFTs. I was like, whoa, dude.
Oh
like,
man.
yeah, this is gonna be nuts.
Risky.
Total degen
I
play.
like
Total
it, but
degen.
that's scary.
Total degen. And I was like, man, like this, I know like the Web3 kind of degen, you know, psyche pretty well. And I'm like, man, this is going to be a smash hit. Like there's no way this isn't going to go viral. Like people are going to be having Twitter beefs or whatever. And they're going to be like, all right, post up then.
Put it on the line. Pink slips.
Oh man, we could do live on the show, Brian. We could do some battles.
I'll take all your NFTs.
Meta Hunters for everyone out there listening and watching. Meta Hunters, again, not financial advice, but you heard it here from the legend. A project to watch for sure. Legend, I know we're running out of time here. You teased us before we started the show that maybe you came bearing gifts and you have some whitelist to give away. What can you share about the project before we start to give away the whitelist, and why should people be so excited?
Yeah, definitely. So it's one that's minting soon here. It's Air Jordan. It's gonna be, man, it's gonna be a crazy one. It's basically, think of it as a platform for athletes and sports entities, right? People that want to get involved into the digital asset space, but you know, are not really sure how. So in the same way that Jordan has built an enterprise out of the brand, it's much more than just an athlete. And obviously, in my opinion, greatest basketball player of all time. I may catch some heat for it, but I think it's Michael Jordan 100%. And
I'm right there with you.
Yeah, exactly.
I agree. But I mean, that's what I grew up with too.
Hey,
so
yeah,
I'm probably a little biased, but
I was born in 1990. I'm not afraid to say that. So I'm you know, Jordan's my boy.
Yep.
Let's go. Yeah, exactly. And like more than just an athlete, he's built an enterprise. And if you look what he did with Jordan Brand and just, you know, beating a path there and creating a giant enterprise in Nike and something that has a life of its own, I think it's something they're looking to replicate with this one. They're kind of trying to be kind of the meeting point for Gen Z millennial fans to, you know, kind of interface with, you know, aspiring athletes and young and up and coming athletes. So it's really more of a platform approach. And I know it's pretty vague, but their initial drop are going to be these like digital bulls with like rings on their horns, like representing like 6 rings of championships that Jordan won. So it's going to be crazy. I think the hype's going to be insane. Anything Michael Jordan obviously is going to sell like crazy. I know that because the shoes are like on their, you know, 20th iteration and people are lining up, you know, around the block to buy the, you know, latest version. So I think it's going to be nuts. It's partnered with, I think, Metaplex as well. They're obviously like investors in the app and the website, but I think they're running a lot of the tech. So it's going to go, you know, super smooth. Those guys wrote the NFT standard on Solana, so they know it better than anyone else. But yeah, interested in kind of, you know, giving some whitelists away if there's a reasonable way to do that. I think via Twitter or collecting. Yeah, it's going to have to be through Twitter, I believe.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, we can, you know, definitely do a giveaway on Twitter. Legend, do you want to give away any live on the show today? We could have people email to the email address we have for the show.
Yeah, sure. So if people can email in, I can find a way to get you guys in and let's definitely like make it happen. Like, let's do it special here. Like, whoever's live, send it in, and yeah, just have like a cutoff, maybe like end of business or whatever.
Yeah.
We can do it that way.
Yeah, so let's do some live on the show now. So shout out to everyone watching us live, and then maybe we'll sync up and do another giveaway on Twitter. So let's give away right now live on the show. What do you think? Like 20 Legend?
Do it.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do 20.
All right, so we have 20 whitelists for that Air Jordan drop, and what I want everyone to do right now is you need to email us. So the email address is shows@benzinga.com. And in that subject line, in order to win, the first 20 people that email in, subject line, legend. Go. All right.
Go.
So that is the
1, 2, 3,
live giveaway today. 20 whitelist for the Air Jordan upcoming NFT. And then, like I said, we'll sync up and we'll do another giveaway on Twitter. So if you missed out today, or if you're watching this on replay or listening on the podcast, don't worry, you didn't miss out. We got something, coming for everyone else. So we will follow up, Legend, with you later on who the 20 winners were today and how we can get that Twitter giveaway going. We're almost out of time here. So Legend, I want to thank you again for joining us on the show. It's always such a pleasure to have you on. I got to go ahead and pull up your Twitter here so I can drop that in the chat one more time. Again, 90,000 followers. If you're not following Legend, go ahead, drop him a follow, and we look forward to talking to you soon.
Yeah, thanks so much, guys. Road to 100,000. I'm almost there. I never used the app before August, and it's crazy. Like, just being able to tweet to such a large community, and I hope that there's been some good information for people listening in, and yeah, definitely super excited, and hopefully I can come on the show again sometime.
Of course.
Oh, you're always welcome back, Legend. We look forward to talking to you soon. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, man.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Well, Brian, we're almost out of time here. We're going to try to cover some news items real quick. And then, of course, tomorrow we'll be back. It looks like people in the chat still going. Yeah, if you didn't send it, shows, SHOWS, @benzinga.com. I don't have the email up, so I don't know how many people have gotten through. But the first 20 people, subject line, legend. Brian, just a couple news items to hit here quick. We talked with Legend. We talked yesterday about, of course, the invasion of Ukraine by Russia, and the donations have been pouring in to the country of Ukraine, people with Bitcoin, people with Ethereum, and other cryptocurrencies. And Brian, I don't know if you saw this. Someone sent a CryptoPunk to the Ukraine wallet.
Just the government of Ukraine, huh?
Yeah. So CryptoPunk number 5364. If we can pull it up here on the screen, it has a bandana. It has cigarette. Those are two of the traits. It also has classic shades, 5% of punks, and it is a male. So interesting here. I mean, at the floor right now, $204,000, Brian. So someone, showing some love, and they bought it back in February of 2021 for 16.19 ETH, and they do own a couple other punks. So I mean, they definitely have probably made some money along the way. But what do you think of this, Brian? I mean, sending a CryptoPunk, that's pretty cool donation here to the country of Ukraine.
Yeah, that's wild. I mean, I'm not sure what they're going to do with it right now.
They'll have to sell it, right? I mean, they'll have to sell it and turn it into ETH.
Maybe a few more things on their mind than trying to sell this CryptoPunk. Just a hunch.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a thought that counts. I think that honestly, this is kind of a weird thing, because what are they going to do with their CryptoPunk right now? And I mean, it's a store of value, but they have no use for it. So
I think they've got to sell it. I think
it's a thought that counts there.
The immediate move.
Yeah, but also that amount of money isn't really going to do much for the government. You know, I know that every donation counts.
I think we're over 40 million now total. Was the last I saw.
Okay, well
so
that will definitely do
total.
something.
I mean,
yeah.
and Brian, let me share this next news item with you. Let me tell you why donations have risen so much today. So again, the country of Ukraine, they set up some wallets where you can send crypto. And Brian, we talked a little bit earlier on the show about how people who owned a ENS domain name got an airdrop. Guess what? There is an airdrop coming for all people who donated to Ukraine. So this has been confirmed now by their official Twitter account.
Donate?
It was a rumor, but if you donate, you will get a future airdrop. And I'm working on an article now. The snapshot is going to be taken today. Tomorrow, March 3rd at 6 p.m. Kiev time, which I believe is 7 hours ahead of us. So that would be 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on March 4th, if I did my math right. So essentially, if you donate today or tomorrow, you will be in line for this airdrop. And they haven't said what the airdrop is, right? So we don't know. You know, it could be a completely different token. It could be a POAP. It could be an NFT, right? And again, it's kind of like buying these relief, NFTs and these others. You shouldn't be donating just for the return, right? You should be doing it because you want to support. But now you're getting something. So I feel like there's a huge incentive. So if you haven't already
donated, it's gonna be a POAP. That's what
that would be my guess. Is it's going to be
that's what I think would make
or like a flag.
Sense. Yeah, and it's something that you can kind of hold and be proud of. You know that you were a part of this whole movement.
Yeah, I don't see this being like ENS, right, with the token.
No, you're not going to get
making a couple
for
grand,
$5 in Ethereum.
Yeah, and I don't think you're going to get more the more you donate. I think it's going to be each wallet that donates. So I mean, you're going to have
most likely be an NFT, but it's something that you can. It's never going to go away. So it is very, very, sentimental, but also you're show your support forever kind of thing. Like you will always be a part of that.
So, I mean, again, it's just one of those cool things to share with our viewers and listeners to make sure everyone knows. So if anyone hasn't donated, maybe you were waiting to donate until, Friday when you get paid or until the weekend when you're not working, there is incentive now to donate over the next 2 days. So we always like to share that information with our viewers. Brian, the last news item I'll touch on here, and we'll get to the rest tomorrow, is, of course, I promised everyone we would share any updates we got on Wonder Pals, the NFT, which, of course, I own one of. Their reveal is happening today at 5 p.m.
Tomorrow's going to be exciting.
5 p.m. Eastern time. So tomorrow's episode, I'll be able to share what mine looked like and did I hold or did I sell ... So to be continued there, but 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Wonder Pals reveal. Brian, I think that's going to do it for time, but I mean, so much to unpack. This is another one of those episodes where even though I was part of it, even though I was listening, I got to go back and watch and listen again.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. Like
Legend just dropped all that.
I got overwhelmed myself.
He dropped all that knowledge. I mean, talking about photo finish, he shared another project with us, Meta Hunters, where you're going to be able to battle NFTs to the death, right? Where winner takes all. That's insane. Love seeing that. So shout out again to Legend for joining us, and all of you in the chat. And watching this after the fact, let us know. Show Legend the love. Tell us if you liked having him on here. So we know we should bring him back. Spoiler alert, we're going to have him back probably anyway.
Yeah, he's definitely coming back.
But we love hearing from you guys, our loyal fans, that you enjoyed this episode. And go ahead and smash that like. Subscribe to Benzinga's YouTube channel if you haven't. You can follow me and Brian on Twitter. Our handles are there on screen. Make sure you follow Benzinga as well, and make sure you follow Solana Legend as well to get him to 100,000.
100,000.
Yeah, I'll hit 100,000 someday. So
yeah,
Brian, anything else to share before we wrap today?
Tomorrow's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, tomorrow we'll be bringing the heat. We'll have all the news, the headlines. We'll talk about my Wonder Pal.
You thought today was fun? Tomorrow's gonna be fun.
We'll recap the week. We'll preview next week. We'll try to do it all in an hour. But till next time, and don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. You got pre-market prep at the close coming up in a little bit with Spencer and Joel breaking down all the headlines of stocks and cryptos. I know it's a show I always have going on while I'm wrapping up the day writing. And like I said, I will be releasing an article talking about that airdrop from Ukraine later today. So stay tuned to my Twitter and to the Benzinga site. So till next time, everyone, take care, and we will catch you tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
And tell Spencer you love him in the next in the next video. Say Brian told me to tell you I love you.
There you go. Tell Spencer you love him and ask win whitelist and see what happens.
He's going through them.
All right.